what is a bootstrap class, what is a dispatcher servlet, what is a REST controller, what is the request mapping, and how dispatcher servlet is going to work, how it is going to redirect a particular controller, and how our response is going to come. All those things by default we were able to discuss in the interaction classes, and how we can create a hello world application in different approaches. Okay, so I got couple one or two emails that STS installation. So it all depends on operating system as well as the Eclipse versions we have, right, guys? So kindly Google it. Somewhere else, the same problem might have faced. Okay, if you're not able to get it, try something. And by default, if at all if it is not working, then go with the lower version of Eclipse. Maybe latest version of Eclipse is STS4, it is coming. But just you will get a good help from Google. If you're not able to get it, I'll help you out. Okay, right. Now today I want to start the first topic of our course. Okay, today is the first topic which I of our course, which is nothing but JPA. What is the meaning of JPA? Means Java Persistence API. JPA stands for Java Persistence API. What do you mean by persistence? Persist means saving, right? Persisting is nothing but typically saving. Am I right? So where you are going to save the data, guys? By default, we are going to save the data to the database only. We are going to save the data, right? Where will save the data? To the database only, right? So by default, JPA is a concept. JPA stands for Java Persistence API, is a typically a concept, okay, which is completely saving the data to the database. Sir, already we have JDBC is there, Java to database connectivity. Okay. We have a concept called as JDBC, Java to database connectivity, which is saving the information to database. When I have JDBC in place, why I need to learn JPA? What is the advantage of JPA over JDBC? That is the first interview question you are going to get it. Okay, let me repeat. JPA stands for Java Persistence API. That is saving the data to the database. That is a JPA. Already in Java, we have JDBC. JDBC stands for Java to database connectivity. When I have JDBC, which is doing the same task, when I have JPA, which is doing the same task, why we need to go with JPA? I have already JDBC is there, right? So the point which I'm stressing is, what are the drawbacks of JDBC? Why I need to use JPA? And what Spring Boot is adding a value to the JPA? That is my first point which I want to focus. Okay. Everyone is clear, right? On the typical introduction part. Before I proceed further, anyone has any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Thank you. Right. Here, by default, whenever you write a JDBC code, okay, by default, JDBC code is typically tightly coupled with database. JDBC code is purely tightly coupled with database. What do you mean? For all the databases is not going to be same. Moreover, okay, moreover, we need to write our database code like select star from, insert into, update table, delete table, create table, all those commands we need to write specifically on the Java code. We need to write specifically on the Java code, right? So all the database related code we need to write on the Java side so that it's a tightly coupled architecture. Will you agree with me, right? So there are 2 points, guys. The first point is purely JDBC is tightly coupled with database, and every database will have its own data types. Every database will have its own syntaxes. If I write Oracle PLSQL block, can I write the same PLSQL block in the SQL server? No. Can I use the SQL server PLSQL block in the MySQL? No. Can I write the query whatever I wrote in SQL server? Can I wrote in the same My Oracle? So typically it is not going to have help that. So that's why where we can think of purely JDBC code is tightly coupled with the database. In future, if you want to change the database, you need to rewrite your code. Completely, you need to rewrite your code. So that's the biggest drawback of JDBC. And whereas JPA is Java Persistence API, which is achieving a loosely coupled architecture. Today, my database is Oracle. Tomorrow, if I'm changing to MySQL, I no need to change any code. The code which I wrote for Oracle, the same code which is going to work with MySQL also. Okay, so which is database independent code, which is going to achieve purely database independent code. On any database, it is going to work. So that is a typical advantage of GPA. There are two advantages. If you want to achieve loosely coupled nature, if you want to achieve loosely coupled nature with the database, where our Java code and database code, if you want to achieve typically a loosely coupled architecture, where we can go with JPA, which is nothing but Java Persistence API. Okay, so JDBC code is tightly coupled to the database, but whereas JPA code is not that tightly coupled, any database it is going to work. But how it is designed, how it is able to achieve all those things, I'm going to explain here. Okay, right. So by default, JPA is going to have the main advantage of JPA is you no need to know about a database knowledge. You no need to know the database data types. You no need to have you no need to write any database related code on the Java side. If you are not that strong on the database side, then still okay. You don't need to worry about that. Okay. So by default, how it is going to achieve that is, by default, the framework is designed with three core principles. Okay, there are three core principles. The first principle is you no need to write any database code at all. Completely, we are going to have Java code only. Okay, whatever the Java code which I am writing, JPA will convert into database code. JPA is going to convert that entire code into database code. And the typical three key principles is nothing but, you are able to see that right here, three key principles here. Every Java class is a table. If I create a class, it is going to create a table. Means if I want to create employee table, I'll create employee class. If I want to create order table, I will create order class. So every class will internally creates a table.
One quick question here.
Mhm.
So, like when you say every class is a table, if you are creating a class for implementing the functional logic, will that also be a table or?
By default, I'm
Okay,
going to explain. A class is nothing but, I'm about to explain, you asked me, a Pojo class, not normal class.
okay.
What exactly a Pojo class? It is going to have getters and setter and
Setters.
constructors and properties. You does not have any functional overview or a functional logic in that. It is not regular Java class. Okay, a typical Pojo class. Clear? Yeah. Yes. Now, by default, the next point which we are thinking is, every Java property in the Pojo class will be a database column. Every Java property. Okay. By default, every Java property in the class. A class is having properties only, right? So every Java property in the class is going to have a database column. And every instance of the class, every instance of the Java class. What do you mean by instance? Instance is nothing but
Object.
object. Exactly. Every object, whichever I'm creating, it is going to insert a record into the table. Assuming that employee.java, which I have, you're seeing right in my employee.java, which is going to have employee table. Employee.java will have a corresponding employee table. Private int emp id, that is a Java property. Okay, where emp underscore id, which is a primary key, private string emp name, which is going to emp underscore name as employee name, salary is an integer, address is a string. Like that, if I define a class which is going to create a table with the structure, and I wrote employee emp is equal to new employee. Employee emp is equal to typically a new employee. Okay, and which is going to insert a record, insert into employee 1 comma Ramu comma 2000 comma Hyderabad. If I write employee emp is equal to new employee, which is an instance, right? Emp is an instance or an object, right? Whenever I write in my Java code, JPA will read that particular data. Okay, and it is going to insert a record into the database table. Three key principles on the JPA side. The first key principle is, every Java class is a table. Every Java class is a typically a table. Okay. Every Java property is a database column, and every instance of the Java class is a database row. Based on that, if you write Java code, if you are going to write Java code, typically going to create the respective database code. Whatever the Java code you write, typically it is going to convert into database code, so that in future, if you change any database, it will not impact your code at all. So this is the typical key pillar information about specific GPA. It's a typically clear information on a specific GPA point of view. Okay. As of now, anyone has any questions, guys?
No, sir.
As of now, anyone? Guys, maybe if possible, you no need to wait whether Mr. Vijay is going to ask you any questions or any questions or any questions. Okay. You no need to hesitate at any point of time. Hey, Vijay, can you please stop? I have a question. At any time, you can stop me. You can jump onto a topic where I'm discussing, and my class is fully with question and answers. I will enjoy, and I let you people also will enjoy. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
How, sir, employee table, employee ID is taken as a primary key. In employee.java, how it can be taken as primary
Sir,
key?
first of all, don't ask implementation, sir. I am not explained implementation. I am going to explain implementation, right? How to write a primary key, how to write a foreign key, how to write all the columns, all those things are
How,
implementation questions. I am
sir,
going to
how to take primary key? It. We mentioned private int empid.
Mr. Pavan Kumar,
Sir.
I hope you are able to follow my English, right?
Yes, sir.
Sure, right?
Yes, sir. It's very good.
Okay, cool. As I just now mentioned, implementation I'm going to explain, guys, not now. Slowly I'm going to explain. The question you are asking is implementation question, how to write a primary key.
Okay, sir.
I'm only explaining the introduction part. Kindly wait for at least maybe 20 to 30 minutes. You will get that answer. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. So the intention of I'm asking is, whatever I teach till now, any theoretical questions are there? Sir, how it is going to create a primary key, how it is going to create a foreign key? We have a syntaxes. We need to write a code. I'll explain that code. Nothing to worry, nothing to hurry. Both hurry and worry should not be there. Okay.
Sir, sir, I have a question.
Mhm.
Sir, could you show us in a tabular representation for more and better understanding?
Sir, what exactly tabular representation for better understanding? What I didn't understand here. This is a employee.java. This is employee table, and I'm corresponding this primary key this here. This is the this here, and this is here. What exactly extra for you? I didn't understand here. Can you please?
Okay.
Can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
please focus on?
Might, sir, I'm just thinking might be one example as in a compiler view and how compiler treats something like.
For example, if I write system.out.println,
Okay.
how compiler is going to write? Is there any way? Can we see that? Okay. So my humble request is, kindly we'll keep our brains to an extent where we can write a human code. Okay. We don't want to keep the code how compiler is going to write the code. Okay. And can you go on mute actually? Those who are speaking questions, it's a minimum responsibility that after your question is over, when there is a disturbance is coming from your end, you should immediately mute yourself. Okay. So that everyone will listen carefully. Okay. So there are 2 points here, Mr. I didn't know your name, but it's fine. There are 2 points here. First one is diagrammatical representation. It's a simple thing. You don't need to worry about diagrammatic representation. Okay. Second point, while writing the code, you will understand clearly. Third point, compiler view, you don't need to worry about that. We need only developers view only. Okay. Right. Any other questions, guys?
Sir, sir? Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you give a rough explanation about Pojo class? I don't know anything about that.
Mr. Koteshwar Rao, do you know core Java?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If I'm thinking that you are an expert of mathematics, you don't know 1 plus 1. That is what I'm hearing like that. You know core Java, but you don't know Pojo class. Does it make sense for you? If you don't mind, please, I'm very, very straightforward guy. Okay. When you feel that you are a core Java, you know core Java, what is the Pojo class? Have you not ever that Pojo class? It's a really surprise for me. Okay. And, but okay, fine. A Pojo class is nothing but a Java class which is having only properties, getters and setters and constructors. Please don't mind what is constructor, what is getter, what is setter. If you ask me, I cannot explain. My class is not for beginners. I clearly mentioned those who are joining to my class should have a knowledge on core Java. I didn't explain, I'm not going to explain the basics of Java. Okay. Pojo class is nothing but a Java class, which is going to have getters and setters and properties and constructor. If you don't know constructor, if you don't know getters, if you don't know setters, kindly read. If you are not able to follow that, I sincerely request learn core Java and join back this batch, because you should be happy and I should be happy, because my intention is 90.99% of the participants should able to follow my class. And I clearly mentioned, if you know core Java, then only join my batch. Otherwise, it's a waste. I'm clearly telling. Okay. Right. One more person is also asking question, please. Mhm. I'm going to explain, sir. It's yes, it's advanced question. Maybe it will take 2 classes to get to that level. Okay. It's a good question, but I'll explain within 2 classes. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay, guys. Now, by default, there are 3 core principles which I'm going to use. Every Java class is a table. Every Java property is a column. Every instance of the Java class is a database row. That's a typical introduction about the JPA operations. Okay. By default, I'm going to create a ticket booking application. I'm going to create a ticket booking application to know the concepts of JPA. I want to teach JPA concepts, right? To know the concepts of JPA, I'm going to create a ticket booking application where database as our Java class, DAO layer, which is our JPA, service layer for our business logic, controller layer for entry points, where any request can Angular or a React or a Node.js or a SOAP UI or a Postman or a browser. If you are going to get a request from any of these particular tools, frameworks, you can call controller, service, DAO, and database. This is a typical architecture. I'm going to develop the application. Okay. I'm going to create application, guys. Okay. File, how to create a project? File, new, Spring Starter project. Am I right? Spring Starter project only, right, guys? Ticket booking application. Okay, Maven project, Java 11, com dot naresh it dot ticket booking. Right? So this is a ticket booking application where what I want to take here, first I need a web application, right? I'm taking Spring Web. Next, JPA. This is my topic, right? JPA, Spring Data JPA. This is the second one. Sir, Spring Web is web application, right, sir? Just now we saw previously, right? This web application. REST controller and request mapping will be there in a very web application. So that's what I'm taking Spring Web and JPA, where I want to save the data to the database with the JPA concept. Like what are the three key principles I told, right? What are those? Every Java class is a database table. Every Java property is a database column. Every instance of the Java class is a database row. So those three principles I want to implement. That is a JPA. Now I want to save the data to database, right? I need to have a database, right? Where I'm going to take H2 database. There is a database called as in-memory database, which is a H2. Okay, where I'm going to take H2 database, data JPA, H2 database, and Spring Web. These are the three dependencies I'm taking. Everyone is clear on three dependencies, guys, as of now?
Yes, sir.
Spring
Yes,
Web
sir.
for web application, JPA for saving the data, H2 database is say database. Okay. Now, in the demo times, at the time of demo, I explain Spring versus Spring Boot. Were you able to remember that? Spring versus Spring Boot. If I want to create an application, like a task is there, right, guys? We need to develop a web application that will read the data from database and display the information on the screen. The time limit is 15 minutes. You remember, guys? Now we discussed each and every minute how the flow is spent. We'll see practically. I explained that one theoretically, right? In the demo time, I explained theoretically. Someone asked me, can we see practically? Right? Now we are going to see typically in a practical way. Okay? Everyone is clear, right, guys? Yes. Mr. Aravind, if possible, maybe it's a humble request. Rather than typing, you can speak. It's a humble request. You no need to download H2 database. You no need to download. I'll explain that. Okay. Aravind, I'll explain that. It's a completely comes with Spring Boot only. The database will be created by the Spring Boot only. You don't need to worry about that. Okay. Right. Now, let's say finish, which is going to create a ticket booking application. It will take a couple of seconds to get it created. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost there. Now I'm going to create a Java class. Now the one who asked you two questions, how to set a primary key, that I'm going to answer. And what is a Pojo class? Someone asked me, that also you can see. Okay. Two questions you can see right now. Yeah. Before when the project is getting created, any other questions, guys? Because it's going to take a couple of seconds. In the meanwhile, if anyone has any questions. Okay. Now the project creation is over. First one is ticket booking application, where I'm going to create. First one, I need to create what? Java class, right? Pojo class I need to create, right? Yes or no? Which is equal to class, where I can create a separate package for that. Model. Model is nothing but a table. Ticket.java. I'm going to create a Java class. Okay. By default, every Java class is going to be a table. How? If we are surrounding this class with @entity, if you write an annotation called as @entity on every class, this annotation is going to create a table. This annotation is going to create a table to the database with a table name as ticket only, class name, with the table name as ticket only, which is nothing but class name. Sir, if I don't write @entity, then it's a normal Java class only. Sir, if I don't write @entity, it's a normal Java class only. If I want this class to be created into a database table, then it is going to have internally going to create a table. Okay, clear, right, everyone? @entity, which is going to take care of that. Now, what exactly I'm trying to go is, sir, good, that's fine. By default, sir, my database naming conventions are different. My Java naming conventions are different. My database naming conventions are different, and my Java naming convention are different. Will you agree that?
Yes.
Can I create a ticket table to the database? Is it a right convention? I don't think so, right? What I want is, I want table to be created. Everything is same, but only instead of class name as my table name, I want to rename that, where I can write @table is optional. Name is equal to @table, where name is equal to TBL_ticket. @table, this is an optional entity. @table is an optional entity. Okay, it's not mandatory. If you want to create a table with name as TBL_ticket, then you can write this. This is not mandatory. It is not going to create a table. @entity is going to create a table, but default name is class name will be the table name. If you don't write like this, what happens here? Sir, if you don't write this, a table will be created with a ticket only. I cannot have in a database table name like this. That's why I wrote @table. Okay. Optional means it may or may not. Optional means it may, I mean, even if you write, if you don't write, nothing will happen. That is what optional. Okay. @table table is nothing but tbl underscore ticket. If you don't write also, table will be created. If you write also, table will be created. If you don't write, table name will be ticket. If you write this, table name will be tbl underscore ticket. That is the history here. Okay, everyone is clear? At the rate of entity is going to create the database table name as ticket. Okay, and at the rate of table is going to rename the table name as, rather than Java class name, it is going to have a table name. Make sense? Everyone is clear, guys? Okay,
Clear, sir.
right. Now, here what I am going to do is, I am going to create every property is a database column, right? What I want is private string passenger name, private string source station, private string destination station, private date, which is equal to java.util.date, travel date, private string email. Assuming that these are my columns. Why I can call that as a column? Every property will be a database column, right? Yes or no? Second principle.
Yes, sir.
Every property is a
Yes.
database column, right? Yes. Now, what I am looking is, here also naming conventions may be there, right? How I write my own table name, in the similar way, column name also to be under the naming conventions. Okay, where by default, if you don't write any other annotation, default property name will be the column name. Default property name will be the column name. Okay, so here what is the default property name? Passenger name is the column name. Here also default property name is the column name. Okay, so by default, column name, sorry, property name will be column name. By default, property name will be column name. But if you want to override that, you need to write one more annotation called as at the rate of column, which is equal to name is equal to passenger underscore name. So this will rename the column name to passenger underscore name. Okay, understand? At the rate of column value is equal to source underscore station, which is equal to name. Next, destination station. Next, travel date. And I will keep EML as it is. So I have a passenger name, source station, destination station, travel date, email. These are my typical columns. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, every table should have a primary key. Is primary key is mandatory or optional, guys?
Optional.
Exactly. By default, primary key will be an optional. It is not mandatory at all. But in a typical RDBMS system, it's completely mandatory. Without primary key, you cannot achieve. Okay, by default, it's mandatory to create a primary key. The one already asked a question. I'm going to explain here. Private integer ticket ID. Okay. And here at the rate of column is equal to name is equal to ticket underscore ID. Right. Here I want, we need ticket underscore ID as primary key. I want this to be as a primary key. Guys, everyone is aware primary key, right? In the database side. Okay. So by default, column name is equal to ticket underscore ID, which is a primary key. How to do that is you need to write one annotation called as at the rate of ID. If you write at the rate of ID, this is going to create primary key for ticket ID column. This is going to create a primary key for ticket underscore ID column. This is going to create a primary key for ticket underscore ID column, which is nothing but ID. Okay. Sir, the one who asked a question, the answer is you need to write an annotation called as at the rate of ID. At the rate of ID is going to create a primary key for this particular property. Right? The one who asked about primary question, primary
Okay,
key
sir.
question. Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
sir. I understood, sir.
Thank you. Thank you really. Okay. Right. Now, is primary key is a user input or it should be generated by the system? How? Is it a
Generated by the system.
why it should be generated by the system? Why not a
Not null.
user input?
Primary key is nothing but a not null plus not null.
I'll give compulsory value.
Automatic,
Someone-
sir. Automatic.
So first of all, it has to be.
If you are creating through application, it should be automatic. But in case you are migrating from some other database, then maybe it can
First
be.
of all, no, migration, we will ignore it. Okay.
Yeah.
If you are creating an application, why I need to automatic? Why can't why is it mandate to make it automatic?
No
right?
duplicates, sir. No duplicates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the first point you need to focus here. You cannot guarantee that duplicates are going to come because primary key cannot allow duplicates, right? Primary key will not allow any duplicates at all. If you are giving 10 as a ticket ID, if I am also giving 10 as a ticket ID, you will be one entry will be gone, another entry will be errored out. So that is what primary key should be always better to have auto generated. Okay, primary key should have definitely have an auto generated. How it is going to have auto generated means at the rate of generated value is equal to strategy is equal to generation type dot auto. It is a auto generation. What is auto generation means? Okay. Auto generation means JPA will create database sequence. JPA will create a database sequence and will populate to primary key. As of now, you may not understand this, guys. I will teach during execution, guys. Whenever I'm showing execution, I will teach about auto. As of now, nothing to worry about that. Understand, guys? You may not understand JPA will create a database sequence and it will auto populate like that. You may not clearly understand as of now. I'm going to explain at the run when I'm executing this code, right? That I'm going to cover at that particular time. So at the rate of ID, which is generating a primary key, at the rate of generated value, it is system generated. It will framework only taking care of this value, and column name is ticket underscore ID, and Java property name is okay. As of now, a ticket table with name TBL underscore ticket, which is going to create. Okay, here someone is asked me again tabular format or something like that. Maybe I'm going to write. Right, TBL underscore ticket, which is going to have ticket. Okay, which is going to have ticket underscore ID, ticket ID, passenger underscore name, passenger underscore name. Sorry, it's a passenger name, right? Source underscore station. Like that, you're going to have all the properties. So these are typically JPA versus or JPA with table mapping. As of now, clear? So a Java class, which is having properties and getters and setters and constructor. How to generate getters and setters? Right click, source, generate constructor using fields. It's a automatic, right? Okay, maybe source, generate getters and setters, all the fields. It should be this source, generate constructor. It's automatic, which is not coming from UI, which is not a constructor is not there. It's not required. As parameterized constructor is there as part of code Java. You should have default constructors also should be there, right? This is a parameterized constructor. This is a default constructor. And finally, toString method. Source, generate toString, which is going to have that. So this is called as Pojo class. The one who asked about Pojo class, is that participant is clear? The
Yes,
one
sir,
who
I
asked.
see.
Thank you. Okay. Anything I need to repeat again, guys? Anyone purpose as of now? Everyone is clear so far. I till covered.
Yeah, Vijay, this is Srinivas here. Okay,
Mhm.
I had a quick question. Maybe if this is a future topic, you can skip it. The question
No
is,
wish, no issues.
now, if let's say that entity is created with a table and columns. Now I want to rename the one of the column name. So we just come and change the class file, and that's all. It will column will be renamed after you
No.
execute that.
No. By default, it is going to compare. Okay. Already the column is there in the database. Okay. Whenever I rename this particular column, automatically alter statement will be triggered and it is going to rename. Okay. But the main point is same vice versa is not applied. If I remove this property,
Yeah.
will it remove from the database? No.
No. Yeah.
If you remove this property, it will not remove from the database. Only it will sync Java to database, but not from DB to Java.
Yes.
If you remove
So
this, yeah,
adds and renames can be done through this
correct.
just updating the
Exactly.
program and running.
Correct.
Not the, okay, thank you.
Exactly. Any other questions, guys? I'm going to share whatever the code I wrote till now. As of now, everyone is clear, guys? So please let me know if you're not able to follow anything so that I'll take further. But point is, please don't ask the core Java basic questions, guys. Okay? Please. Yes.
So we run the program for the first time. The table gets created. Or what if we run the program like stop it and
I'm going to
run
explain.
it
I'm
again?
going to explain. After fourth class, your question. Okay? It's a really good question, but I'm going to cover. It's advanced question as of now. Okay?
Sure, sure.
So framework is giving an option for us. What do you want to do? Already table is there. Do you want to rename it? Or you want to drop and create? It's giving an option for us, but I'll explain that slowly. Okay. Topic Spring Boot data GPA. Yeah, I'm going to give my running notes.